There you are, you little piece of sh... Alright, welcome back everybody, about 4:15 or so on Tuesday, the 5th of March. Now that I found that pesky little spacer, I got the other side of the boot attached. And what I'm going to do as far as the boot goes is I'm going to put one of those pneumatic lift kit cylinders that I have just on one side, because it'll make it a lot safer for me getting this thing up and down. It gets a little unwieldy. But so we're going to continue on. I also figured out the mounting for the front valance. I'll show you that here in a minute. I had the black cars up in my attic. I was able to take a look at that. And then I'm going to do the boot lid first, probably, because I think it'll be the easiest, and then I'll move to either the bonnet or the doors. Again, paying attention to this problem over here on the bonnet, and just slowly but surely try to get some gaps taken care of. Obviously the bonnet is up and there by itself. Still crooked. Yeah, I think it's hopefully just a suspension thing. I don't know what else it could be. The whole car is kind of crooked, so some spring rates, something's not tight, whatever. So I put the bonnet stay in there. This is part of that lift kit that I had gotten, and I've already been thankful that I put this thing on without doing paint, because I've already scratched the firewall there. You can see that little guy. So thankfully the Raptor liner is pretty easy to repair. You just essentially scuff it up and spray it. I think I emailed with them a while ago when I was still doing it underneath, and they said that they've had customers go 3, 4, 5 years in between coats. As long as you scuff it up, you can reapply it with no problem. So once I get this body back off before I put it on, I'll take a look at doing that. The problem comes in is this this guy over here. If you remember a long time ago, that portion of the firewall there was pretty bad shape as far as scratches and everything. So the car, and it was like that when I got it, so the car's got history of being messed up there. Anyway, getting to the point at hand here. So I've got this Y-shaped bracket, whatever that's called, this guy here, and I'm going to put that guy in, get this front valance kind of tightened up. Like I had mentioned, I did find the attachments for those, and they're just these spire nuts, I think they're properly called, and they'll slip onto the valance, and then these little nut washer, flat washer, lock washer thing there, bolt. I also got the Harbor Freight 6-inch bench grinder. I mentioned this a while ago. I got that clamped down to the desk. You put the wire wheel in there. Now, unfortunately, the wire wheel is just about the same exact size as this housing here, so it tends to rub and make some noise. And as a matter of fact, I tried to have a brass wheel too. I tried to put that in on this side, and both wire wheels in there, just because of the friction that they're generating with that inside, that it doesn't spin. So I think just over time, as I start to kind of wear down this wire wheel, it'll probably be okay. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get these spire nuts on there and get the front valance, see if I can get that semi-aligned a little bit. Not going to worry too much about it, because it's going to have to gap off of the bonnet, and the bonnet's not going to be my first order of business. I'm going to do the boot first, so I'll get this together, get them tightened up a little bit, and then move on from there. Well, the boot lid's in there, and there's not a whole lot of adjustment, at least not that I could figure out. It's pretty much just bolts down. I mean, you do have the support members under here, and you do have the hinge points, but they're not really floating points at all, so I think you get what you get. I got a pretty good gap here, about 5 millimeters or so. This drill bit is kind of what I'm using. It's just about 5 millimeters. It gets a little tight up in here, doesn't quite fit, but it varies as I kind of work my way down. And then unfortunately it really starts to open up out here, probably about 7. Pretty good in here. But you can see that gap really opens up. However, I think, and I'll get the straight edge here to verify, but I think that whole boot lid kind of tapers in. So I'm not so sure that I can do anything about that. I think that's a manufacturing thing, because that whole thing looks like it goes in. So I'm having problems with the bonnet, as I suspected I would, with essentially it rubbing on this wing back here to the firewall. That's a little concerning. I gotta come through that a little bit and see if I can get it to twist, or somehow try to get it set up. But until I get the bonnet down and cleared there, I don't want to start with the doors, because I'm afraid I'll just waste my time. Whole sorts of adjustments on the bonnet. Obviously you got the pivots here, and that this clip will move like this in and out and bring the bonnet back and forth from the firewall. You can kind of see this should be squared off here, and it's not because I've been cranking on it. So a couple potential things here. The whole bonnet is twisted, right? I can bring this the passenger side, push that back a little bit. I'm going to try that to try and get the driver's side around a little bit. I have the pivot tubes in there, but they're not tight at all, so it's kind of floating as it is. This may take a little bit of thinking. Let's see what happens. I think I have done this before, and I confirmed on the black card that this bonnet was correct, and I don't have a reason to think that it wouldn't be, but I can't get this thing to fit in again. So if you note the lip here, it kind of curves around and does a nice gentle curvature kind of thing. It's not a hard break at all. And I made a little template here that kind of mimicked that curve. Bring it on the other side, and it's not even close. Lining it up at about the same spot, give or take. That's what I'm looking at. So you can see that whole corner gets lopped off. Well, that's the corner right there that's jacking all my Raptor liner up. So I don't really have a problem cutting that stuff off, I guess, but I would like to verify that before I actually do it. So it's about 7 o'clock. I think I'm going to cut it a little bit short and call it a night while I ask on my favorite forum and see if I can figure out if anybody else is having this problem, and if so, what they've done. So I mean, the thing's all deformed. I knew that, and it's got history of scratching up the firewall. Kind of regret now putting that Raptor liner on there, but that's okay. I'll clean it up and shoot it again. No biggie. I've also jacked up the other side a little bit. But again, I'm gonna apply Raptor liner on the boot, so it's just a matter of sanding that, bearing that in, and getting another round of it. So I think, like I said, I think I'm gonna call it a night here, and I'll get back at it this weekend, and hopefully I'll have a resolution around that time. And the heat should be back on Thursday, so we'll see from there. Welcome back, everybody. About 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. The 10th of March, getting going a little bit later today between some weather this morning and the clock shifting and all that stuff. My lazy ass didn't want to get out of bed. Today I'm going to focus on the bonnet. I brought a jack over from home. I got another jack sitting over there. I'm going to try to help me use those to help me kind of position the bonnet a little bit, take that front lower valance off, and see if I can't get this thing lined up better than it is right now, and try to work at it. So we'll see how it goes. Now, just like that, it's 3:30, so I've been working the entire time. I had some help over here that didn't really want to be filmed, so that's why there's a lack of progress updates. But yeah, so you can see I made the scratching a little worse. So to kind of cover what I did here, if you remember, that side was kind of cut, rounded off a little bit instead of square. So I did the same thing over here. I just made a template and ground that down and cut that square, or cut that rounded off as well. Getting the gaps, struggling. I only had one of these lift kit struts on here. And what that was doing is, as the bonnet would go down, it would cause it to flex opposite, because they're still pretty strong. And it took me, I don't know, probably 4 hours of fighting with gaps. Yeah, I hate to admit 4 hours, but 4 hours of fighting with gaps to finally figure that out. Now I got that second lift kit in there, a second strut here, and I'll lower the bonnet and show you what it looks like. All right, so we're looking at about a 5mm gap here. This is, I don't know what actual size drill bit this is, but it's about 5mm or so. So it gets hung up every once in a while. Gets a little skinny in the front here. I can do some adjustments, but pretty happy with it. Pretty good over here. So all sorts of adjustments for this thing. You've got vertical and side-to-side adjustments, or front-to-back, I should say. Vertical on the top, the big nut, and then the middle of the three there does your back and forth, and then your bottom one's just your pivot point. So you do your back and forth. If you raise this one up, it tends to affect back here and lowers this and closes that gap up. And there's a lot of big moving parts here and I really can't give you any hints or tips if you're trying to do this yourself outside of just learning some new curse words and just kind of going for it and trying to make it work. I would highly recommend having somebody help you. But there it is. So the next point to come through in this is the wing portion, I guess you could say, is not in very good shape for either side of the bonnet. So you can see this sticks out pretty good here, and that supposed to be flush, and it was flush before I did work on it. And this one's pretty bad. That's a solid 1/2 inch, and I'll pause again here and show you what I did. So I was going to simply try to just pull and bend this out. I ended up cracking this actually almost all the way through. I know I had repaired one of these because there was a crack here existing. I'm not sure if it was this side or not. So that's going to have to get repaired. That's more tore than cracked. But there's no support in this thing, as you guys know, and it just ate itself. But this is the side that I repaired. I had to replace this because it was all torn up. So I assume in that repair and the repair of this arm here, it drew that in. And if you kind of, I don't know, if you step back a little bit, you can see that in the front near the arch and in the top there, it tends to bow in. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I don't know what I can do about that, because I've got that metal support up there. So I'm going to have to look into this. Obviously, this is going to be some grief here. Fortunately, however, or unfortunately, maybe, I'm pretty sure I can do the door gaps without that on. So anyway, again, sorry for the lack of video updates. It'll probably be a rather short video. I'm not going to wait till my next visit. But again, the key thing that I finally figured out was both struts had to get on there. I'd filled the hole for the bonnet stay. That's why I didn't put the old bonnet stay back on. But both struts needed to go on there so that it wouldn't twist it. And it's a pain in the ass, and it's not fun. And I've got some wing damage there to attend to, or not damage, but bending to attend to. So otherwise, that's all I've got. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.